Hey everyone, it's your girl Princess Naya, and we are back with Tired Ass Mum Presents Can I Shit in Peace? Season 2. Can't believe we're here. No one asked for a season 2, but hey.
But we're here anyway, and it's going to be amazing. Anyway.
I'm joined by an amazing woman who I haven't seen in ages, so it feels like such an advantage to get to do a bit of work and play at the same time. I will let her introduce, tell you all about herself, but we're joined by the lovely Serena.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for making the effort.
Oh my gosh, so yeah, my name is Serena Francis. Firstly, I'm a mum.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a mum, that's why I'm here. My little boy is 10 years old. Mr. Connor,
That's
Mr.
insane.
Connor Creed, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit more detail. But me, just to talk about me, gosh, I've had over 15 years experience within sales. So I've looked after so many fashion brands, Lipsy, Superdry, Michael Kors, more recently, Juicy. And I'm just going to be looking after Levi soon next month, which I'm very excited about.
Oh my gosh!
And then my little side swag with my mother Rosanna is a little company called Melita Rose, and we make scented candles.
No, wait. You make amazing scented candles, amazing. Which my mum absolutely adored.
Thank you.
So sorry, Corey, to interject.
So we make scented candles and we do candle making workshops. We've been working for years with Soho House, which has been super fun. So we've been able to kind of go around to all the different Soho houses and do like members workshops, but we also do candle making workshops for hen parties, birthdays, and corporate ones as well for companies that want to do like Christmas parties or summer parties. So yes,
So you get busy.
Yeah, I'm a little bit busy.
You get busy.
Yeah.
So I met Serena when I wasn't a mum. Let's put it that long ago.
Okay,
So I wasn't a mum when I met Serena, and I remember talking to you and your mum, and you was talking about the setup in the kitchen of the candles, because your mum was like, no, actually I do all of that, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
Wow. And I was so inspired, and I think I was really inspired at the fact that you had a hustle with your mum.
Yeah.
You know, which is insane, because I think if I had a hustle with my mum, I love my mum, but I think she would drive me insane because she does the most random stuff, and I don't think I'd get any work. I don't think I'd get any work done at all. My mum has all the ideas and it relies on me for execution. But it sounded like your mum was a real part of the execution.
Oh yeah.
Which I found to be like, well, ain't that some shit? And that's amazing. Yeah. So yeah, I was already inspired. And then I had Kizzy. And I remember seeing you flash up on my Facebook for something, and I thought, oh my God, I just had this whole newfound respect and admiration for you, because I realized what it must have been like to be venturing into having this huge side hustle, which doesn't, when you look and get your candles and use them, it just doesn't feel like a side hustle. It feels like, I didn't even know that other stuff that you did. I thought this was the piece de resistance. So like, seriously, you need to really big yourself up and your mum for being able to juggle all of those things and be a mum at the same time. So how old was Connor when you started the side hustle?
I would say he was probably around like 4.
Because that's insane to start
5.
something.
Yeah, but he was my inspiration behind doing it, because I knew that one day I'd been in sales for so long and I'd made so many other companies money, lots of money. So I knew that one day I wanted to do something for myself. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the name came about because Melita was my grandmother's name, who's no longer with us, and Rose is my mother's name. So I kind of put the two names together, and that's how I formed, you know, the name of the brand, Melita Rose. So the company was based on inspiring women, inspiring strong Caribbean women. So working with my mum took some getting used to, obviously. Obviously, because you could say that we're both very quiet type of women. No, we're not.
No.
She's always right, and obviously I'm always right. So that's fun for everybody involved. You know, my siblings and my dad, like, you know, they never had to walk in on us arguing about fragrance oils. No, I want that one. No, I want that one. But at the same time, my mum is my best friend. My mum is my rock. She is my everything. You know, I wouldn't be able to do everything that, you know, I wouldn't be able to have jobs where I have to travel to all over the world.
So your mum's basically like, she's your business partner, your best friend, and a massive support, like your support system. So is she the person that would watch? Because so this is the thing. So I lived in South London when I had Kizzy. So I was really far away from my mum, and I didn't realise. Like I kind of felt like within 60 seconds I realised that once I'd moved out and my mum was like, make sure you ring me every day. I was like, I ain't ringing you every day, mum. I'm on my own now. And then I had kids and I was like, Mum, where are you? Yes. And I literally I said, right, this is it, I'm moving. I moved and I found wherever it was. I live like a 5-minute drive from my mum now, because it's like I need to be next to her.
Support system.
Right. Yeah. So, but having her involved in my work would then eradicate my childcare, which sounds awful, but it's like if she was a part of that as well, like it would be like, I don't know, it would be really, I think it would be really hard. Like, how did you navigate that? Or do you have other people that are able to help you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in the early days, like age 4 or 5, because it's a tough time. They want attention. Do you know what I mean?
It's I don't know how we've made it work. It was kind of like we didn't think about it. Okay. It just happened. So, you know, with working kind of for all these different fashion brands like Michael Kors, I had to be in Paris quite a lot, you know.
So then did your mum have him when you
My mum had to have him. Like my mum would, you know, between my mum, my dad, my brother and sister, you know, and sometimes his dad as well, because his dad is in his life. Yeah. They would pick him up from after school club, you know, and have him and make it work. It was kind of, we just made it work. It was like there wasn't even a thought process behind it. It was like,
this is happening.
This is happening. To jump on board. Yeah, and then I can't actually forget, you know, my uncle as well. So there'd be like a list, right? Okay. So you know when they say it takes a village, no, it really does take a village. So if my mum and dad were working, or my brother and sister were working, you know, I had my uncle on tap as well. You know, uncle, can you get your nephew? So I've been so blessed that I too moved. You know, I grew up in West London, and then, you know, my parents moved to Hayes. And then, you know, I was looking for somewhere to buy. Couldn't buy in this area. Couldn't buy in Acton.
So just drowning.
Couldn't. And so I was looking at areas near my parents, and found somewhere in Uxbridge.
Oh, amazing.
And so door to door, I'm 15 minutes. I timed it, right? 15 minutes. And if it's early in the morning or late at night, it could be faster. Okay, so you're in. So, yeah, there's no, and I realise, you know, when I have other friends who have kids and don't have family around them, and every day, you know, I started writing a gratitude journal when my grandma passed, to kind of help with, you know, depression and grief. And literally in my gratitude journal, you know, 6 years later, it's still, what am I thankful for? Family. What am I thankful for? My parents. What am I thankful for? My siblings. You know, my support unit, because I wouldn't be able to do anything
without them
if it wasn't for you know, if I didn't have them around. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that, and I think that, you know, when you realise you only have a few people, it's like it begins. You start thinking, and it's like, wow, like I wouldn't be able to do this. Yeah. And even like, as much as sometimes, because I'm a really complainer about the school, you know, like, oh, they're doing that, they're doing that. Yeah, but it's like, wow, this is a huge help, man. Sign me up, because this school,
I have a newfound respect for teachers,
and just the whole
patience.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And then when Kizzy comes home from school, she loves school. So it's like it's not. I'm happy. You can go. She wants to be there. So it just makes it all the more easier. Yeah. But it's just very it's very daunting sometimes. I feel like with me, it's like obviously Kizzy has her dad, and I've got my in-laws, and then my mum, and it's like it feels like that's it, which don't feel like a lot. So then if we've made a plan with the in-laws, then it's my mum. It's only my mum that can have her. Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then it's like, okay. And then if my mum's got a dog, but it's not a dog, it's her son. So you know, if something's going on with him, it's a problem.
It's a problem.
It's a problem.
Can't combine the two. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And then now I realise, like, I recently just lost my grandfather, and like we're all very, very, very close. Like he was basically like Kizzy was just that's granddad. Yes. And then so my mum now's doing a lot of stuff with my nan to help out, and it's like in the last few weeks I realised that,
Yeah.
I really need my mum's help here. And if I don't have my
Yeah.
mum's help, I feel like a part-time parent.
100%.
Because I love my
100%.
daughter.
Yeah.
But I like doing my stuff.
And
is that bad?
Right. And
Do
the
you know?
other thing is as well, is like, you know, if you think about everything that you were doing before you had Kizzy, right? You were out there, you're an entrepreneur, you're
Filling
a
up all the
creative.
time slots.
Right?
full.
And there is this assumption that as soon as you have a child, those things that you love to do stop.
100%.
And you become a mum.
Yeah.
And then let's put speech bubbles of what a mum is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I would
Mary Poppins.
right? And then it's like, no. I still want to, when I can, go to an EZ rave.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
like,
No, it's the
you know, and I
truth.
still, you know, and you still want to be ambitious,
Yeah.
and you still want to create things and have your podcast and you have your business.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
you
like,
still have ideas. The ideas don't
Yeah.
stop just because you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, and I do think that it's really tough on women. Like, and like a lot of people. I remember I never even thought I'd have kids. I'll be honest with you. It wasn't like in my vision of, okay,
Yes.
this is what happiness and everything looks
Yeah.
like to me. So when I did have Kizzy, I waited ages.
Yeah.
Like, I was 34 when I had
Yeah.
Kizzy, so I
Yeah.
wasn't like a young mum. And everyone said, you know, it's better to get out of the way. I've got friends that have like 18-year-olds and they're like, yes, my life's back.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, your life has just been taken away. It was
Yeah.
like, it kind of felt like that type of comparison. And
Yeah.
it's like, until you're in the shoes, you don't really understand that concept. And it's like, there's no right way of doing it. There's no right
There
time to
isn't.
do it. It works different for everybody. So you kind of just have to get in where you fit in. And I do really believe that you have to preserve self. Because if you don't
100%.
preserve yourself and all of your ambitions and everything you're doing, yeah, you got to compromise 100 million %. Like,
and we do naturally.
and we do naturally. And I think for me, my compromise came in my fees. Because whereas before, I'd be like, someone would be like, oh, can you come and perform here? I'd give them my rates and be like, oh yeah, we don't really have that budget. Can we do this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely not. Today, I have a child. It's like, I'm leaving my
Yes.
child. So it has to make sense. Whereas before, I'd be more flexible in cramming more stuff in to appease everybody.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was probably one of the main things that I changed without even knowing that I'd actually
naturally.
naturally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think when people are asking, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, this is it. Like, those things that you would have cared about before, they're just
they
not
disappear.
important.
They just
They're
disappear.
just not important.
Yeah.
It's like, your priority is that, you know, are your family okay?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, are you, you know, when you have some spare time, you want to kind of do things for yourself.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
You know, when you're not being
or like
a
just
mum.
lay in bed.
Yeah.
Like, I would just like my Kizzy would go to my mum's and I'm just gonna chill out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch up on Real Housewives for
Yeah.
all the ones I've missed. I'm just gonna lay there. I'm not gonna do any housework, and that's my enjoyment factor for that moment. Because all the other times I'm filled with doing whatever else other craziness I'm doing. So yeah, it is wild. It really does adapt. And like I'm not. What is it? The school, you know, school mums. Like,
Yeah,
they have
me neither.
It's
No.
not for me.
Yeah.
Even when
Yeah.
I just had Kizzy and it was all these groups and the mum sent us.
Do you have a WhatsApp group yet?
I've got dragged in. Yeah, I did. And I'm the one that doesn't speak and doesn't answer anything.
Same.
Yeah? And then,
Same.
do you know, one day they put something, what was it they put in there? Something about, I think it might have been PE day they were just launching. And I thought, oh, great. And I thought, okay, I see the usefulness in it, but I'm just not, it's not, oh, Johnny's got a cold today and, you know, she's not feeling really well. This is all not
It's
information for me.
constant.
It's
From morning until night.
yeah.
I don't understand. Does nobody work here?
No.
And,
And like, seriously, like, it is.
and all the parents are moaning about something.
Yes.
The last thing I saw that I was like, I can't.
Drop me out.
The kid, so Connor's school, they had swimming for 2 weeks,
Okay.
which I thought was amazing because,
Yeah.
you know, the kids don't do that much exercise and
Exactly,
I'm
yeah.
all for PE and exercise. And the parents were moaning that the school had said they have to wear their uniform to the swimming centre
And then
and then they change. And the parents were moaning, you know, this is ridiculous. How do they expect them to unbutton their shirts?
How old are these kids?
Why can't they go in sports clothes?
It's wild. No, it's wild. The conversations are it's insane. And then what do you do though? No, answer me this. Do you partake or do you just roll your eyes?
No, I just roll my eyes. You know, the kid, you know, Connor's in year 5.
Okay.
If your child
cannot get dressed and undressed, it's a massive problem.
This
in your
is
house.
a problem.
It is a problem. It is.
This is a problem.
5 and she has to change into her PE kit at school and then change back into her uniform to come home. So
basics. Tommy's gonna be okay.
Okay, he's gonna be alright. He's gonna live to tell the tale.
So things like that, and I think, you know, I don't wanna minimize, you know, the parent conversation on WhatsApp, but you just think there's bigger problems.
There is bigger problems, but do you know what it is as well? I just think that this is where the synergy comes in, and you gravitate towards who you gravitate towards at the school. Because like, there's a couple mums that I can get down with at the school, like because they know, and I feel like they respect the fact that some mornings I'm like, morning, and then other mornings like, oh, did you see? Like, they respect that, and it's not oh, she's being funny today. It's just I ain't got I don't want to talk today. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I think there's 2 mums at the school I get on with like that. And one of them's unfortunately leaving, so I'm down to 1. But then I think sometimes what happens is other mums just want a chance to partake and understand you, because there was another mum and I felt like she hunted me down, and she's just like, hi, like my daughter was always talking about Kizzy, well, maybe we should do a play date, and I was just like, yeah, we'll catch up. And then that weekend there was a party, so she got me at the party, and I thought, oh my god, I don't want friends here. It's just,
no any friends.
It's not for me. Not here, no.
But it's kind of part and parcel, right?
But it is. But what she went on to say at the party is that she goes, you know, I came to Kizzy's party and I thought you was the party planner. And I said, oh, right. And she said, yeah, I thought you was just the party planner because you was in everything, you was sorting everything out, blah, blah, blah. And she said, and then someone said, no, she said, oh, could I get that lady's details because I wanted to plan my daughter's party. Right. And then someone said, no, that's Kizzy's mum. And then she said, I thought, I just want to be like you. Wow. And I felt so bad, for my... You know, my initial, leave me alone. And then she divulged a lot of information, and she explained that she feels that she's lost herself, and she wants to be a person, and she doesn't just want to be a mum and blah blah. And I felt like, oh my god, I felt for her. 100%. I did. I still have to have my boundaries because I can't save everyone, but I did feel a bit bad. Like, how do you balance that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I noticed, like, when I was listening to a couple of the other podcasts, like, I think you did have one in there about finding your tribe, right?
Yes.
And I think
that was Carlene. Yes.
And I think mothers in general struggle with that. Okay. Because what's really interesting, right, is that I wouldn't necessarily say that when me and my girls had babies, we became closer. Okay.
Were you the same age though?
Yeah, we were kind of varying the same age. I would actually say in some instances we became distant. Mm-hmm. Like, and I didn't expect that, you know. And I think...
Is that because you think, is that different parenting styles? Or is that different parenting values? Is that different ideologies of where you place yourself as parents? Because I have friends that have kids of similar ages, and we're all very different. And the stuff that, you know, it's like, okay, I'm still at the school gate having a chat. I'm like, I'll speak to you another time. Yeah. Whereas with me, I'm in and out. Is it different? Yeah. Do you understand what I mean? Is it because you're just different? So then it changes, because as you were as friends, you might be in similar spaces, but then your parenting is slightly different. So you're just in different spaces now.
And lifestyle, I think, right?
Yes,
it's
100%.
Like, for me, I would say that I'm single parent, co-parent, whatever you want to call it. You know, James Connor's dad is involved in Connor's life, but I'm kind of a single parent.
Yeah, because you're so sole provider in a sense, because he lives with you.
Exactly. And then, you know, some of my friends are married, and then, you know,
the dynamic is different.
The dynamic is different. So that's one different dynamic. And then another one could be I'm a full-time, you know, I work full-time, and some of my friends don't. So that's another you know, and like
the timing's different.
Yeah, I live in West. A lot of my friends live in South. So it's kind of like.
And do you think your hustle as well attributes to that, in the sense of having your son has not interrupted your flow as a hustler? Yeah. Because being a hustler it sounds like, oh, you're a hustler. No, it is hard work.
It's consuming.
It's very draining, and you can feel very lonely sometimes, because once you've started, hey, you're not allowed to give up.
Yeah.
Because now you have an audience. And it's just your son that's the audience.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't care what anyone else thinks, but I do care what my daughter thinks, you know?
Yeah.
So if I'm starting something, I need to see this through in every aspect. And do you think that that is something that attributes to just, you know, being like your friend group? Because the friends' ideologies change, you know?
Oh, definitely. Obviously now the conversations change. Who we are as women we've changed like dramatically. And I think as much as a lot of us want to try and hold on to who we were as women before the kids, it doesn't work like that realistically.
You're a different person.
Especially if you're married. So, you know, you've changed, you're now a mum, you're a wife, like you're trying to raise a household.
Yeah.
I think as women, we're trying to wear so many hats.
Yeah, you're spinning a lot of plates.
You know, and I'm not going to be funny, but men don't.
Yeah.
Like, however you want to.
No. And I've been battling with this conversation since I had my daughter, because like Kizzy's dad he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. But for me, it's like, you could do more. Yeah. And he would say, but I do way more than the average dad. Like he cooks dinner every day. Yeah. I don't even load the dishwasher.
Wow.
He's doing the most. But for me and my levels, you could do more. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So,
100%.
I feel like, and I said, I think we had a conversation one time, and I was like, yeah, but I do more for her. And he's like, but why would you make me feel And I said, I'm not saying that you're a shit dad. I'm just saying, by law, on paper, mum does more.
We do.
I cut her toenails. No, but do you understand? You cut yourself toenails, right?
Yes, I cut the toenails.
From birth, not from like, you think you recognize that shit.
Do.
You just see it, and it's like, okay, or you're gonna go and put clothes on, and then do you know what? He's grown out of that just by looking at it. Whereas she could come marching out wearing some real jack-ups, and it's like, but babes, these are not fitting anymore. Well, why are they in the wardrobe? Because if I don't take them out the wardrobe, that's where they stay. Yeah. So it's like, by default,
we do all
Serena,
the things that we would never notice.
Is this intuition? Is this mum's intuition?
It is, 100%.
Because I think a few years ago, I thought, and I feel like, and I felt like, and I hope that this could be installed into a person. But it's not, is it? It's a man and woman.
That's a really good question, because then we're going into kind of nature nurture, you know?
Yeah.
So,
and I really don't want to believe in that shit. I think, like, if I can run a business and you can run a business, I should be able to raise a child. You should be able to raise a child. We should both be looking at the same things that someone needs.
You're never going to look at the same things, because you two are two completely different people.
Yeah, different perceptions.
Different perceptions, upbringing. Like,
okay, so let me ask you this then. So you're co-parenting. So when your son goes off, it's reliant upon dad to notice everything, because you're not actually there. Okay, but this is what I was getting to, because I feel like it doesn't matter if you live with the person or you don't live with the person, they still are just not going to see it. They're not going to have your perception.
And I think it's about standards as well, right? Like, I think you as a person, your standards are high, right?
I'm like,
high for yourself,
I'm
high
like
for your
compare
life.
yourself to Barack Obama type stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
But you've got high standards. We have higher standards. So you've got those same standards, but on your child.
Yeah,
in fact, they're through the roof now.
It's even more.
You know, so in terms of making sure that she's okay, that she's happy, that she's fed, watered, clothed, like, those standards are high. And, you know, I'm the same. Like, when it comes to my little boy, like, my standards are high. And my ex-partner, his standards are not my standards. They are completely different. And that's why, you know, unfortunately, why we ended in the first place, you know? And it's really hard when I hand Connor over for him to go and stay with his dad, because I know his standards aren't my standards.
Okay, so then what do you do for... Like, how do you
navigate that?
Yeah, like, how do you, like, okay, so I had, maybe 3 years ago, I had an idea. I thought, do you know what? I'm sick of being asked what size kids' shoes are, or, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be asked. Like, I remember the first time he said, well, what milk do I get? I said, I don't know. I've never bought milk in my life.
Yeah. We're doing this together.
We're in the trenches here. I don't know. Google. Ask Siri. I'm not sure. And it really frustrated me. Maybe more so because I was just agitated at the time, and, you know, it's new and all the rest of it. So then I thought, okay, maybe if there was an app that had both all the information in from mum and dad, and then mum and dad can both look at it, so it's a shoe size, maybe mum updates it a bit more, maybe that would work. And then now, like, I'm still working on it, and we've tried it out and stuff, and then I was offended when he put I think he put in there for me to pick her up from school, and I was like, but I already know that. But it made me feel some type of way, him telling me what to do. And then it made me think, is this why there's resistance sometimes? Because if you're a boss lady, then our articulation, maybe in terms of saying this is what you need to do, can come across very managing director-ish, as well as, babe, do you understand what I mean? Because I'm not a submissive person. So my attitude and outlook and direction is very much, this is what we got to do, this is what you got to do. And him then doing that to me, which I'm not used to, was like, hey, why did you put that in there? And
because essentially, he was showing you that he's trying to level up. And be organised, right?
Yeah, but I didn't perceive it as that.
And you didn't perceive it as that. I perceived it
like, why are you telling me what to do? I know what to do.
Yeah. So in this situation, it's like, what can he do that
would work?
That would work.
Exactly.
Because when he doesn't fill in the Google Docs or the app, whatever, you're like, I wish he would fill it in.
Yeah.
And then he fills it in and you're like, are you trying to tell me what to do?
Yeah, exactly. And it's the first time I felt like that. And I thought, maybe this is, what is, I couldn't understand how to navigate it.
I think, the other thing.
So when you pass Connor over, sorry, just going back to when you hand him over, like, how do you communicate the needs? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, obviously he's a lot older now, so there's probably less. But just in terms of, I don't know, homework needs, is there an after club or clothes or and like, how do you do that? Is that all on Messenger or what?
Basically, I put it mainly on text or WhatsApp because I struggle. I personally feel like I am a really easy person to communicate with. Yeah. And my ex, I can't communicate with him. Okay. You know, like, just to be 100% real. Yeah. I think co-parenting is one of the most difficult things ever. And the only way that I feel like I can communicate with Connor's dad is via WhatsApp and text message, you know, like, this is what he needs, this is what needs to be done with the homework. I take pictures or send links or whatever. When I communicate with his ex, it's a getting his back up all the time. That he thinks that I don't think he's doing a good job, and
it's not it.
It's like no. Like, literally, my mind is just what Connor needs to get done for this weekend or these days to help him. It's not about attacking you. And then as soon as he gets his back up, I then get my back up, and then
it's an explosion.
You know.
But I feel like it is like that within a relationship. And when the relationship breaks down as well, because and I think now, because that little incident happened with me, I take it as a lot of people just don't like to be told what to do. Yeah. And the difference is that as a mum, we are thinking, but it's for the child.
That's the first thing that's in our head.
But I don't think that dad has that feeling inside. I think it's naturally, now it's year 5, I'm thinking it's not personal. It's not actually, you actually are not.
It's not about you.
No, it's not. It's about the child. But then you genuinely don't see that you're just not looking at it like that. You're looking at it like, but you're attacking me. And it's like, well, no, we're just trying to get the best for her, you know, like,
I mean, there's so many ways in which we could dissect this further. You know, it comes down to egos, you know, and I think with men, a lot of the time the egos are the forefront of their brain, and so that's why they constantly feel attacked. And for us, our mother instinct kicks in first. So even though it feels like we could be quite straight, actually we're just thinking, boom, okay, what does our child need? Boom. And it can come across quite sharp.
And very forceful.
And very forceful, but it's like, no, our brain's thinking a million things.
But then do you think that is because you are entrepreneurial and you are a boss?
Yes.
Because a person that doesn't have a lot on their plate has time to be more timid and submissive, calm, take it in your stride. Oh, I'll do that, it's fine, don't worry. What you need, do you understand what I mean? Do you think those things pay? Okay, it's only you saying that now that made me think like that, because I'm thinking, maybe, like, you know, my approach can be quite overzealous and short, because it's like, why am I explaining this shit? If I say this is what needs to be done, just do it. Because it's for the best for her. Whereas on the receiving end of that, maybe it doesn't actually feel that nice.
And I think,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I'm telling you, when I looked in the calendar and I saw some shit for me to do that I hadn't put in there, I felt offended, and I don't know why. Because I created the app, Serena. Why did I feel offended? This is meant to work both ways, but I didn't like it, and then I thought, this is weird.
Yeah,
I want this to work, and I didn't. I know, just didn't feel it. You know, so and I'm just saying that in like thinking about how dad feels, because dads still feel something. They have 100%. Emotions, and they're going through their own journey and their own male ego. I need to be the provider and this, and I need to be this, and their instinct is very different to our instinct.
Yeah.
Which I would never have agreed with that before, because I would have thought, we're mum and dad, like, you should 50-50. But it's not 50-50.
I mean, I think the other thing is, you know, I think we're quite similar in the sense of we're very strong women.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and we have an opinion, and
you're going to hear that.
And you're going to hear that whether you like it or not, you're going to hear this opinion. And energetically, you know, vibrationally, we, you know, our energies can fill a room. Yeah. So when we're saying what we're saying, it can come across a lot stronger than we could even imagine.
Yeah, I suppose.
Right?
So.
We have no idea
how they've taken it and feeling.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with mum and dad?
I grew up. Okay, so my mum left my dad when I was about 2.
Okay.
And met my stepdad.
Okay. So you had a male role model in the house.
Yeah. And he adopted me. So,
oh my God.
So my stepdad is my dad,
yeah.
and he adopted me and gave me his name. So I was lucky that I've always had quite a positive, male role model.
And what was the synergy like between them? And I'm just trying to gauge out. I didn't grow up with a dad in my household at all. So all I have is mum, and then I have nan and granddad as a dynamic to kind of look at. Do you know what I mean? And my nan worked, and this is years ago, but she still worked. She was home every day cooking dinner. Granddad worked, he was a sole trader, like worked for himself. So there was always that aspect of everybody's doing a little something. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Everybody was hustling. You know, my grandma, super strong Caribbean woman who could do everything. Cook, make you a dress, right?
Doing everything,
everything. So I watched that.
Okay,
but I also watched her struggle.
Yes.
So
which is not nice.
So
you're
you've
thinking,
got
I don't want to be like that in
a
way.
Exactly. Yeah. But we still carry that ancestral struggle, right? And we'll pass it down. It's been passed down, and we pass it down into our relationships. So, you know, so when you're surrounded by strong women, and when you're surrounded by, you know, women that are kind of struggled, we carry that without even realizing, and women that kind of do everything, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
So I remember
so true.
I saw a counsellor, an amazing therapist during lockdown.
Oh really?
Please do share the details. I will. And one of the things that he said, which I was like, oh my God, was he was like, Serena, you do realise that you're carrying a lot of ancestral issues and challenges that actually aren't yours. They're not yours. You've just learned to carry them into every aspect of your life.
Wow.
And I took a beat, and I was like,
say what now?
That feeling of like, you've always got to struggle. You've always got to work hard. You've always got to be strong. The strong thing, like, don't get me started. You know, you've always got to be the strong black woman. You can't show that you're vulnerable. You can't show that you're weak. You can't show that you don't know. It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
It's exhausting. And then we carry it into our relationships, right? And then we carry it's within our parenting as well.
It's with everything.
It's all we know.
Yeah.
But we don't have to.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, we can choose not to bring it into our relationships.
Some struggles are not your struggles. They're just struggles that we've witnessed, and it's like, okay, cool, I did see that, but now I can take a different place, I suppose. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's nice that you speak about like counselling and therapy and stuff, because I think that obviously there's always this black cloud about therapy or whatever, but I think it's such an important thing to at least try and do, you know, once in your lifetime, because it can really unburden you of things that you never even realised that could be actually burdening you, which is just insane.
I think the time that you have with a therapist or counsellor, it's different. It's different to offloading to your friends and family.
Way different,
right? Like they love you, they care about you. They're not going to say anything that's too controversial to upset you.
Are you the person that everyone comes to in your family though?
Yeah,
would
yes,
you say
I would
that?
say, yeah,
Because I feel like in my setup, I wouldn't really go to anyone. I'm the person that's kind of rationalizing for everyone and giving everyone the support. So the idea of me having anything that needs something would scare me into not opening up to them about anything, because you wouldn't want them to then ever fear not being able to lean back on you, because it's like, well, actually,
100%.
Naya's more fragile than she looks, so there's no point. So just be strong, be loud, and make sure, tell everyone you know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And really, there's a moment where it's like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I know I look like I do,
know, but what am
actually,
I doing?
what am I doing?
And having mum title attached to that, it changes it. It makes it even harder, because then there's an extra layer of protection that you're putting up, because it's like, no, I have got my shit together, and then, but I ain't got my shit together. Like, and I think for me, I think that was really hard career wise, thinking all this time I've just been winging it. It's one big fat wing. I sang a song.
Fake it till you make it, and then you make it.
Do you know what I mean? And then it's like, then you have a child and you get to the point, it's like, well, is that viable now? Like, is that viable to just keep going when you're a mum? Because then it's like you have someone behind you that, like, effectively, eventually is going to ask you, Mum, what am I meant to do next? But then if you don't know what you're doing next, then how do you prepare yourself for that eventuality? Because you're still quite early on in motherhood. Like, 10 still. Like, still baby.
And honestly, I feel like it changes every 3 years. And like every 3 years or 2 years, I'm like, oh, that was difficult, but I've got it down. Boom, another stage happens, and you're like, so like now Connor's like 10, I'm like, oh my God, this is the hardest stage. This is the hardest stage. And then I'll go to my parents like, this is the hardest stage. And my dad will say the same thing, just to let you know, it only gets harder.
It gets harder.
And I'm like, thanks, Dad. Good
They're
chat.
in their babies, and people say, you don't worry, when they get older it gets easier. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It gets different. Nothing gets easier, it just changes. It's like they're laying on their back just crying all the time, and then they start crawling. You think, oh yeah, it's good they're crawling, and they're doing that little walk thing and pulling out everything and knocking into things. You're like, this is insane. And then they get to the next stage after, and it's like, okay, well now they're communicating, and they, you can communicate with them. They go in bed by themselves or whatever, or you're putting them down, and then it's like, then they're asking you questions. You're like, okay, it's just changes all the time. To me, I don't feel like there's not an easy moment.
No,
it just gradually changes into more difficult situations which you could never comprehend. But the ones before that you thought were really difficult, it's just a new difficulty now. It's just not that one anymore. It's just I don't have to wipe your bum, but I'm doing something else of magnitude here that I had no idea even existed, which is it's crazy. No one prepares you for that, do they?
No, like what's that TV series? Is it Kevin and Perry with the?
Oh the adolescents.
That's where my son is at the moment. Okay. So everything is. If I say something that he doesn't like, he hates me. He hates his life. At the moment, I'm saying to him, "You're not having Fortnite." Oh my God, he hates his life, because I'm like, all I see with Fortnite is like guns and killing, and I'm like, pilfraging. I want to just try and keep that at bay as long as possible. So I'm the worst mum in the world, because he's the only kid who can't play Fortnite. I mean, everything, homework.
Everything's a chore.
Oh my God. Like, seriously, it's like a fight for everything. I have to blackmail him to do anything. I'm like, if you don't do your homework this week, you're not going to football club. All of a sudden now he can do his homework, So,
and then are you worried about the stage where he just doesn't care about those things anymore? So then, so Kizzy was having a birthday party. So for that whole month, it was like, if you don't do this, no birthday party. If you don't do this, no. And then the birthday party came and was like, oh, shit, man, what have I got next year? It's like, when, do you know what I mean?
Yes.
How do we navigate that?
I don't know is the answer.
Yeah, I like the answer, to be honest.
At the moment, he loves football.
Okay, so
But I'm pretty sure there's gonna be times where I'm gonna ask him to do his homework, and he's gonna be like, I don't care if I don't go to football. Oh, I can feel it. I can definitely. But to call my bluff.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, now he's getting to the age where he's trying to call my bluff.
Yeah.
So I'm like at the sideline going, I need to up my game. I need to like learn some Jedi mind tricks because he's cottoned on to me, you know, like he's getting to that age where he knows that he can kind of
push
work.
the boundaries.
Yeah.
One of my friends, she's a therapist, and she was on the last series actually. She was telling me a story about her son, and she's like, I think he's like 9 or 10 actually. Must be about a similar age. And she said he just one day he's like, he don't want to do swimming lessons no more. He doesn't want to do it. So she's like, no, but you will be doing it. So she got in a car, put him in a car, they've driven there, got to the centre, and he said, well, I'm not getting out. And she said she sat there and she thought, well, ain't that some shit?
Right. What do I do?
Can't drag him out and throw him in the pool. Like, that's it. Like, this is it. And when she said that, I thought, wow, because it's really difficult to keep the power.
It's so hard. Like, when I was younger, it was just hardcore Caribbean slap, right?
Yeah.
So I did what I was told. I was cheeky, don't get me wrong, because my mum does keep saying to me, you know, with Connor, apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And I'm like, I did. But now we obviously can't hit our children or whatever, you know. So it's like we've only got our voice. And the few tools that we might have, like I'll take away the PlayStation or the dolls, or you can't have your party, you know. But we, like, as parents, guys, we need to start thinking about some things because soon we're not going to have any.
I think that although the times have changed, and obviously spare the rod and beat the child, whatever they used to say, there's all these different ways of doing stuff. But the thing that I try to remind myself of is that what is going to be is going to be, and what is going to happen is going to happen. So no matter what course of action you take, or if it works or if it doesn't work, it's just this time, and this is how it's meant to be in this time.
True.
Because if your mum is saying the apple didn't fall far from the tree, you're an amazing person, which means whatever stick you was given back then, it just is what it is, and it's just that time, and it's just that moment for them to go through all of that and come out the other side and be like, Mum, I really love you, and I'm so sorry for being a little shithead when I was younger. Because I think the majority of children, they just do it, and they just don't want to do, and they just don't want to do. They just challenge authority, and you being there all the time as the authoritative figure, you're gonna get it the most. Like, do you know what I mean? You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it the most. Like, and like, I'm scared, like, because like Kizzy's she's my best friend. Like, she is team mummy all the time. She's like, no, daddy, blah, 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 blah. Like, she'll be on my side. Like, and there's been maybe 2 incidences where she's like, no, mum, and she'll be on her dad's side, and it's once in a blue moon. So for it to ever get to that stage where they change, do you know what I mean? It's gonna be. You know, she doesn't want to do what I want her to do. I think it will be quite tough. I don't want
scared.
That. Like my mum said that when I was growing up, I was just really good. I never gave any ag. I think I was just trying to be very independent, which she couldn't deal with. But I love independence in a child. Mum didn't want me to get a job far away because she was scared about me traveling on the trains. You know, she's that type of parent. But generally, I didn't give any problems. So I'm like, God, please repay me with the same child. But I don't think so. I don't think so.
And there's so much more available to them. You know, when we were younger, there wasn't.
Nothing.
Okay, let's list them. There wasn't. I'm going to sound really old as I'm saying this, but there wasn't WhatsApp. There wasn't Snapchat. There wasn't Instagram.
But would you not think we had our own
You called your friend on the house phone and said, Mr. Robinson,
can I speak to
in your polite voice?
Good evening.
Good evening. Can I speak to Chrisandria, please?
Yes, it's very true.
Right, it's
different
not like that no more, now. No. So there's so much,
and it's from a really young age as well. It's like my daughter's got an iPad, so she'll FaceTime her nan, FaceTime her cousins, sending voice notes and messaging, and it's an insane change. But I suppose this is when we were younger, we would hear the older generation say, weren't like that in my day, and we'd think, oh, shut up, because we don't care about your day. We don't care what was happening in the war. We don't give a shit. We care about what's happening now. And now it's like, well, it weren't like that. It weren't like, and it's like, don't say it because you're showing your age. Do not say that shit out loud. Calm yourself right down. No, it's wild. Like, I just think, do you know what it is? I think we are learning as we go, and what I love about our generation is the openness to being vulnerable, that I ain't perfect. And sometimes I fuck up as a parent, and maybe I've said the wrong shit and I've done it wrong, and maybe that weren't the right way to deal with it. But by openly sharing your stories and your situations, it really I really think that it helps.
Yeah.
You know, like even just listening to what you're saying and understanding your situation and hearing you explain about maybe the breakdown in communication sometimes with the way you speak to your partner. It's like me hearing you say it, I could hear that maybe he would feel like that.
Yeah.
But in my situation, I would feel like,
because you're in it though. It's so much easier, you know, when you're not in it to have a different view on something, you know,
just
like,
the perception of it and understanding, like, and just and I just go back to the top where I say I just have a whole new admiration for your hustle and everything, because like having a business and having your a full-time gig and having a child and navigating through, I don't know, a breakup or not even being with your child's dad, these are massive milestones for you, and you're killing it.
Thank you. I've learned so much. I've learned so much.
What's your top tip to someone who is like in a similar situation, in the sense of, you know, they're starting out in business for themselves, they're still managing their day hustle? Because a lot of people think, like I was talking to the makeup artist today, and she was saying, you know, I've got a full-time gig and I'm doing the makeup, but I want to leave the full. I was like, don't leave the full-time gig, babes.
Pay
I
the
was
mortgage,
like,
pay the rent.
you're working remotely, make it work for yourself.
Yeah.
I said, seriously. And I think there's a massive stigma about turning your hobby into your full-time gig, and the pressure of, but I have got a full-time thing, but I am looking to leave. No, babes, keep that. If you can have 7 things going on at the same time and they're all trickling in, and it's not,
definitely,
you know, do it.
I think I was reading something on LinkedIn the other day, like we live in a completely different society. Like, so our parents, our grandparents would have one job, maybe stay there for 10 to 15 years. And now it's
I've just smashed the camera, the light over, just in case you thought what happened there. Sorry.
No. And now it's completely different. Like I love speaking to people who are doing lots of different things, because this is the type of world we're living in now. Like, and you know, you've got to take into consideration, like, the cost of living is through the roof. It is. The chances that you'll be able to have one job and be able to meet all your needs with one job,
it's very slim.
It's very slim,
and there's no shame in having a few things.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think that shows who you are as a person. Like, if you don't want to just do one job, but you want to do something that's creative on the side because you love it, and you might make a little bit of money on the side. I mean, and like, especially as a parent, your child's watching this. Remember,
it's very true.
Your child's watching you work and doing something creative. So they're learning straight away to be entrepreneurial without you even telling them how to, you know,
very true.
Like, Connor's 10, and I got my best friend, like, my best friend was like, oh, what should I get Connor for his birthday? And I was like, I want you to get a book on economics and a book in business. Like, literally, now that he's 10, I'm teaching him about how to be an entrepreneur. He's got a book on money, economics. He's got, like, because I want him from such a young age to know how to be independent. Like, he can tell you now what investments are. Excellent. You know, I want.
And it's good, the language, even just the language, because some people think that their children are too young to have money conversations, and it's like, do you know what it is? It's just language. Because if they're familiar with the words, even if they're not fully understanding the meaning, by the time they understand the meaning, they understand the word.
Definitely.
Which means they're not 20 learning a word and then trying to learn a meaning. Like, it's really, really,
absolutely,
like, it's so good.
Like, I want to empower him on all the things that I just had no clue about, you know, mortgage and rates and
how to balance credit card.
Right.
You know, like, I used to think the credit cards were evil. Don't ever get a credit card. That's the wrong thing to do. Not realizing that
actually
builds your credit history.
Absolutely.
It's
like, it's things like that, right? Like, you know, we weren't taught that at school. So I'm of the opinion that anything that they're not getting taught at school, I think sometimes we're under the assumption of they're not getting taught at school, so you don't need to teach them.
It's even more important.
You have to teach them at home. You know, you have to teach them about Bitcoin. Me and Connor were talking about NFTs the other day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he was telling me, he was like, Mum, come watch this game that I'm playing. So basically, this NFT, because basically what it is, it's dressed in another brand. Like, this skin is dressed in another brand. So this is called an NFT. And I'm like,
amazing.
Okay,
this is great.
Okay, like, so, you know, they can teach you so much, but I just think it's really important to empower our kids where we felt that, you know, on things that we just didn't have a clue about that would have helped us.
Yeah, 100%. And I think a lot of it is just about as you was talking about, the different day and age, you know, like our parents grew up in the industrial age, 100%. Get a good job with good benefits, get a good pension. And now we're just in a place where, will there even be a pension for anybody? So the way that we teach them has to move on, and the school is not transforming. So we have to make sure we fill in the gaps. But do you know, Serena, I could talk to you for hours.
I know.
I feel like we need a part 2. Honestly, I haven't said that. I haven't said that to anyone else.
There's so much.
Apart from, we have to do, I think we should do another one, honestly, because there is so much to just get into and learn and understand, and just hear a different perception, and, you know, just get to grips with where we're heading. You know, as you said, it's like every few years it changes. And I'm just really, really inspired. I've got one question that I need to ask you. The last question is, can you shit in peace?
The answer is no. And as I'm saying this, I'm winding myself up, because I say to Connor, right, when I'm in the bath, unless you're dying or there's an emergency, like, this is true talk, right? When unless you're dying or there's an emergency, leave me alone. Like, let me, because I like to put some oils in the bath, some salt,
put your Melita Rose candles.
Sometimes, like, I give myself a goddess bath, where I put, like, dried flowers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
A little incense in there. I'm like, right,
leave
my time.
Every time.
Still knock on the door, Mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, we've just had this conversation. Like, leave me
alone.
So the answer to this question is no.
Okay, so you're still in the gang. I don't think anyone's actually said yes they can just yet. I think I'm not sure if there's any hope for any of us. But it seems like the toilet is where you get the most attention. It's like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. But thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I'm
You're
going to put all the
amazing.
information about your candles in our description, or however they do it now. And hopefully we'll get you back on. We'll do something else.
Absolutely.
Seriously.
And just before we go, I wanted to mention, I don't know how I didn't mention this at the beginning, that I also have a podcast
Shut
called Messy
up.
Around the Edges.
Oh, no way.
So I would love you to come on.
Oh, I will. Please,
Okay.
please.
Perfect.
Messy around the edges.
Messy
I'll
around
put
the
I'll
ed-
put a link to
Yeah.
it in here as well.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you very
How
much.
you have time? Anyway, we'll save it.
Right,
We'll do
yeah.
We'll do part 2 with
Okay.
you. Yeah, we'll do part 2 on yours. All right. Thank you everyone for watching.